Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. You know, the Democrats for some reason convinced themselves that after their 2024 injury, they could simply put a band-aid on it and then move forward as if nothing happened. But unfortunately for them, that's not the way the real world works. You don't get to engage in a scandal this deep, this malicious, this wrong, and simply get to walk away as if nothing happened. Oh, did we put a vegetable in the Oval Office and then gaslight the American people for 4 years straight as if he was perfectly fine and healthy and actually the best president in modern American history? Oh, whoops. We're sorry. Let's just move on from that, shall we? Yeah, no. That's literally not the way this stuff works. You know, Democrats were clearly hoping that the Biden skeleton in their closet would just magically go away and everybody would forget, but no way was that ever going to happen. And now the wound is opening up again, and the focus is once again on the Democrats, as this scandal is now back with a vengeance after the official audio from Biden's special counsel interview with Robert Hur is finally released. Yeah, I wonder why they tried so hard to stop this audio file from being released to the public. I wonder. I guess we're saying it again. The Democrats once again have egg on their faces. The DNC collapse is still in full swing, and deservedly so. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on here. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so the audio file is released, and yeah, I don't think it's even possible to sugarcoat this. It's bad.
So during this time we were living in Chambers Road, and there were documents related to the Penn Biden Center or the Biden or the cancer failure shot or your book. Where did you keep papers that related to those things that you were actively working on?
I don't know. This is what, 2017, 18, that area?
Yes, sir.
Remember, in this time frame, my son is either been deployed or is dying. And by the way, there were still a lot of people at the time when I got out of the Senate that were encouraging me to run in this period. And so I hadn't at this point, even though I'm at Penn, I hadn't walked away from the idea that I might run for office again. So if I ran again, I'd be running for president. And so what was happening though, what month did Bo die? May 30th,
2019.
2015 he died?
2015.
I think it's 2015.
I'm not sure the months are, but I think it was.
Yeah.
That's right, Mr. President.
Trump gets elected in November of 2017?
2016.
2016. All right. So, why did I have 2017 here?
That's when you left office, in January of 2017.
Okay. But that's when Trump gets sworn in then.
Right.
January.
Right, correct.
Okay, yeah. And in 2017, Bo had passed, and
Biden forgets when he was vice president, forgets where he stored classified documents, forgets who he gave those documents to. He sounds tired, confused, overwhelmed. He cannot sit through questioning. That certainly puts it into perspective. The president of the United States at the time, the man who was tasked with running the most powerful country on the globe, couldn't even put up a basic performance in a very simple, routine interview. And that's what the report said at the time, which obviously was quite concerning. What do you mean, the president of the United States can't remember basic facts of his life? That seems a little bit like a problem. And that was based off of Robert Hur's words, the initial reports on how that interview went, and then his testimony.
There has been a lot of attention paid to language in the report about the president's memory, so let me say a few words about that. My task was to determine whether the president retained or disclosed national defense information willfully. That means knowingly and with the intent to do something the law forbids. I could not make that determination without assessing the president's state of mind. For that reason, I had to consider the president's memory and overall mental state and how a jury likely would perceive his memory and mental state in a criminal trial. These are the types of issues that prosecutors analyze every day. And because these issues were important to my ultimate decision, I had to include a discussion of them in my report to the Attorney General. The evidence and the President himself put his memory squarely at issue. We interviewed the President and asked him about his recorded statement Quote, I just found all the classified stuff downstairs, end quote. He told us that he didn't remember saying that to his ghostwriter. He also said he didn't remember finding any classified material in his home after his vice presidency. And he didn't remember anything about how classified documents about Afghanistan made their way into his garage. My assessment in the report about the relevance of the president's memory was necessary and accurate and fair.
And then following these concerning reports, what did the Democrats tell us? Oh, I could remember like it was yesterday. They attacked Robert Hur like I've never seen before.
You don't gratuitously add language that you know will be useful in a political campaign. It was a choice. You certainly didn't have to include that language. You could have said vis-a-vis the documents that were found at the university, the president did not recall. There is nothing more common with a witness of any age when asked about events that are years old to say, I do not recall. Indeed, they're instructed by their attorney to do that if they have any question about it. You understood that. You made a choice. That was a political choice. It was the wrong choice.
Does this raise alarms about whether President Biden is fit to serve another term in office?
Well, undoubtedly, that's what Robert Hur, who comes from my state, he's a Maryland Republican, undoubtedly, that's what he intended to do with those ridiculous cheap shots.
The comments that were made by that prosecutor, gratuitous, inaccurate, and inappropriate. The way that the president's demeanor in that report was characterized could not be more wrong on the facts and clearly politically motivated.
Absolutely insane. I mean, he was a bad actor, right? It was all a right-wing smear. They demonized Robert Hur, attacked his credibility. They dragged him in front of Congress so they could take turns one after another going after him. They told us it was just a massive smear campaign against the president, all the while running news segments where they tell the American people that Joe Biden's the best he's ever been.
The president is healthy and vigorous, fit enough to perform his presidential duties.
I can tell you that he is sharper than ever.
This version of Biden, intellectually, analytically, is the best Biden ever.
Robert Hur is clearly a man of integrity, and everybody, probably Democrats including, would have told you that before his report on Joe Biden. And now we have absolute confirmation, total vindication for Robert Hur. He wasn't speculating, he didn't overstep, he wasn't a right-wing agent helping set a phony media narrative. No, of course he wasn't, he's not a Democrat. No, he was just calling it as he saw it. He reported on what he saw, a mentally declining president who couldn't even be prosecuted because he literally couldn't remember anything. Absolute vindication for Robert Hur, and once again the Democrats having their true colors shown. They attempted to destroy this man. This is how dishonest these people are. Instead of acknowledging reality, instead of gearing up for, maybe a primary process moving forward, going into a re-election campaign, instead of just having an open conversation about the president's health, they went to war with the guy who was simply doing his job. This is what they do. They would rather destroy the truth teller than admit a truth that's inconvenient for them. They lie and attack and smear. And that's why I'm so glad that this stuff is continuing to get litigated, because there's certain things that you should just forget and move on. This ain't one of them. This was a betrayal of trust of the highest magnitude. And it's not even about Joe Biden. It's about the Democrat Party at large and the media system that does their bidding. It's about the cover-up, an entire system that lied to your face, a group of people who smeared the guy who told the truth. And then when the truth finally comes out, raw and unfiltered, it's worse than anyone could have imagined. This was a corrupt regime that used Soviet-style tactics to protect their presidential puppet. This is about a ruling class that cares more about maintaining power than anything else. And it's like I always say in these Joe Biden cover-up videos, these people can never be trusted ever again. I don't care if Jake Tapper wrote a book. Jake Tapper's new book, page 1. I'm sorry. I don't care about the crocodile tears or the phony moments of realization, the feigning of ignorance. Oh, we didn't know how bad it was. Everybody knew. The guy was a damn vegetable. But if we said that, you labeled us dangerous conspiracy theorists. Just think about that, the way they demonized people for acknowledging basic reality. Joe Biden's tripping all over himself, literally consistently falling during public events, falling off his bike, farting like a damn toddler, unable to recite basic numbers, can't speak a sentence coherently, couldn't do a public event without 7 shots of adrenaline, having every question handed to him ahead of time so he could rehearse his answers. But that, of course, wasn't enough. He also had to have a cue card that gave him notes on which journalists to call for for, what questions they'd be asking, and what his response would be. All of this was public knowledge, and they frickin' knew it, yet they lied to your face. These people cannot be trusted ever again. And yeah, sure, you're gonna hear them all say, well, look, this was in the past. We need to move forward. We can't keep talking about stuff that happened in the past. They're gonna try to move on and pretend like it doesn't matter, but it absolutely does matter. They installed a vegetable for a man as president, a man who clearly couldn't even stand trial, and they lied to you every single day to keep that illusion alive. How can these people ever be trusted again? And really, for me, again, the absolute most frustrating part about all this was their treatment of Robert Hur. It reminds me of their treatment of Donald Trump, right? Anybody who gets in the way, they will attempt to smear and destroy. A political party that operates that way can just simply never be trusted. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys on this one. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.